Alright, now let's talk about short selling. If you think that the price of the stock is going to decline, how can you make a profit? Here you can borrow some stock from a broker and do a short selling. And for the short selling, here's how it works. First, you have to borrow one share from the lender. So this is step 1, attempt 0. You borrow one share from the lender. And then you have to go through a process called short selling. And here you have to sell the stock at the bid price S0 to the market maker. You go through some process, you lay in the fee, the dividends, etc. To buy one share from the lender. And then sell it to the market maker. And they receive a cash of S0. And this amount, S0, is usually called the proceeds from the short selling. Later on, you buy back the stock from the market at a lower price at T. So later on, you buy a lower and buy back the stock from the market at a lower stock price at T, and return it to the lender so you can capture the profits, which is the gap between S0 and S3. So here you sell at S0 and then you buy back at the price at T. So you make a profit of S0 subtract FT, ignoring the interest received by investing S0. And then you return to the lender, return the money to the lender. So that's how short selling works. If the stock pays any dividends or interest or coupons, then before you cover the short position, you have to pay dividends to the lender. If the asset is a commodity, like maybe some kind of like physical assets, then you basically have to make payments like lease payments. Alright. So in short, you make profits from a stock that seems to decline by borrowing some stock from a broker and doing short selling. You borrow a share from a lender. You sell the stock at low price, at bid price. Alright, now let's talk about short selling. If you think that the price of the stock is going to decline, how can you make a profit? Here you can borrow some stock from a broker and do a short selling. And for the short selling, here's how it works. First, you have to borrow one share from the lender. So this is step 1, attempt 0. You borrow one share from the lender. And then you have to go through a process called short selling. And here you have to sell the stock at the bid price S0 to the market maker. You go through some process, you lay in the fee, the dividends, etc. To buy one share from the lender. And then sell it to the market maker. And they receive a cash of S0. And this amount, S0, is usually called the proceeds from the short selling. Later on, you buy back the stock from the market at a lower price at T. So later on, you buy a lower and buy back the stock from the market at a lower stock price at T, and return it to the lender so you can capture the profits, which is the gap between S0 and S3. So here you sell at S0 and then you buy back at the price at T. So you make a profit of S0 subtract FT, ignoring the interest received by investing S0. And then you return to the lender, return the money to the lender. So that's how short selling works. If the stock pays any dividends or interest or coupons, then before you cover the short position, you have to pay dividend to the lender. If the asset is a commodity, like maybe some kind of like physical assets, then you basically have to make payments like lease payments. Alright. Alright. In short, you make profit from a stock that seems to decline by borrowing some stock from a broker and do a short selling. First, you borrow one share from a lender. Then you sell the stock at bid price at zero to a market maker, and third, receive a cash of at zero. The amount at zero is usually called the proceeds from the short selling. Later on, you buy back the stock from the market at a lower as price at T and return it to the lender so you can capture a profit of at T subtract at zero, ignoring the interest received by investing at zero. If the stock pays any dividends or interest or coupons, if you were short selling a bond before you cover the short position, you have to pay dividends to the lender. If the asset is a commodity, such payments are called lease payments. The lease payment is the payment that one has to make when he borrows an asset. Here the short sellers must always be well prepared to cover the short position because the lender can sell his assets anytime or he has to make lease payment if the asset is a commodity. Alright, so that's it for the contents. Now we are going to look at this example. Stock XYZ is bid at 49.75 and offer at $50, and the broker's fee is 0.3% of the bid or ask price. Suppose you buy 100 shares and sell 100 shares. After an hour, what is the round trip transaction cost if the bid price does not change? This is a very easy problem. Here at time zero, you buy 100 shares at the price of $50 because they offer $50. So $50 is the price at time zero. You buy 100 shares, so you have to pay 50 times 100 and then time with 1 plus 0.3% because we got the broker fee is 0.3%. So the whole thing we have to time with 1 plus 0.3%. So times 0 we pay 50 times 1 plus 0.3% times 100, which is 15. And then time half hour later, like half an hour later, we sell 100 shares at the price of 49.75 and we receive. Here when we buy, we have to pay for brokerage fee, and then when we sell, we receive 0.3% of the brokerage fee. So we receive 49.75 times 1 subtract 0.3% from 100, which is 49.75. So times 0, you pay $5,015. Then half an hour later, you receive 4,960.075. So the total transaction cost is the gap between them, which is 54.925. Now, if we break down these costs into the two components, first the transaction cost as the brokerage fee and the transaction at the bid-ask spread. For the brokerage fee, we got 0.3% time with the price, which is $50, and time with 100. And this is the cost when we the transaction cost at the at time 0, and the transaction cost at time 0.5 is 49.75 times 0.3% times 100, and sum them up, we got 29.925. And a transaction as big as spread is here the gap between the buying price and the selling price is 0.25, which is a quarter. And we got 100 shares, so we got 0.25, which is a quarter, times 100, and we got $25. That is the bid ask spread. I repeat here, the number of 0.25 comes from the gap between 49.75 and 50 because we buy the stock at the price of $50 and then later on we sell it with the price 49.75 and the gap between them is 25 cents per unit. And we got 100 shares, so the bid ask spread is 0.25 times 100, which is 25. This is a very easy problem.
All right, let's consider the next problems. You short sell 400 shares of XYZ, which has a bid price of 25.12 and an ask price of 25.34. You cover the short position 6 months later when the bid price is 22.91. The ask price is 23.06. There is a 0.3% brokerage commission in the short sale. What profit do you earn in the short sales? Ignore interest on the proceeds from short sales, and suppose that the 6-month non-continuously compounded interest rate is 3.5% and that you are paid 2.5% on the short sale proceeds. How much interest do you lose? Here, before we do this problem, I want to stress one more time that for the brokerage fee, when you sell, you subtract. When you buy, you add. So here at the beginning, you short sell 400 shares. So you have to subtract 0.3%. And we sell, you sell 400 shares at the price of 25.12. So we got 400 times 25.12 times 1 subtract 0.3%, which is 10,017.856. And then at the end, you have to close the position by using 400. So you have to buy. You buy 400 shares from the ask price of 23.06. Here 6 months later, so you have to use 23.06 instead of 25.34. And because we are buying, so we have to add the brokerage fee. That's why on the first line is subtract, and the second line is we add. So we use 9251.672. See that? So the total profit is 766.184. See that? We sell to receive 10,000 at the beginning. Then 6 months later, we receive 9251.6. We pay 9251.672. And here we ignore the interest on the time value of the money over 6 months. So the total profit is a gap between these two numbers. I repeat, when we sell, we subtract the brokerage fee. When we buy, we have to add the brokerage fee. And then suppose that 6 month non-continuously compounded interest rate is 3.5% and you are paid 2.5% on the short sale proceeds. How much interest do you lose? What you lose is the gap between the two interest rates. The interest rate is 3.5%, but you receive 2.5%, so the gap is 1%. And there, at the beginning, you receive 10,017.856. So when you times 1%, you got 100.18. 100.18 is the interest that you lose. All right, so that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. Sorry this video is kind of short because the content is getting harder and harder. IFM is really hard. This video I use the e-learning of Actorio website to create the lessons and the examples. I hope you guys like it. See you. Bye bye. Thank you.